Hello, all you humanimals out there, you hairless apes, you Chimp-man-zees, you meat bots, you flesh bags of chemicals reacting to stimuli. Welcome to the first ever, the inaugural episode of Atheist Nightmares, episode 000001, where we cover all things atheism, humanism, scientism, and nihilism. This podcast is a companion to the Atheist Nightmares account on X, so be sure to go check that out. I'm your host, Christian, coming to you from deep in a secret cavern in one of the Galapagos Islands. Who am I? I'm someone who, on X, has been blocked by such notables as Seth Andrews, who, before he blocked me, stated in this public account that me asking questions in his account was like barging into his living room and taking a dump. I've also been blocked by I Am Atheist Girl, Tory Atheist, as well as Lucifer's tweets. I was also blocked on the Christian subreddit for critiquing atheism and evolution. You heard me right. I was blocked on our Christianity, not our atheism, as well as blocked by other various and sundry accounts.
Run away! Run away! Run away!
So I guess you could say I'm kind of a big deal. But anyway, let's go ahead and pounce right into things, shall we?
We are distant cousins of bananas and turnips.
Now, Richard, that was rude, interrupting my podcast like that. That's like barging into my living room and taking a dump.
So anyways, let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
Okay, Nacho. Luchador para los niños. You had a tough go of it against Satan's cavemen, but later, when you had a change of heart and stopped fighting for pride and vanity, you gained your eagle's wings, soared across the arena, and defeated that pagan Ramses. Yes, it is in that spirit that we will get down to the nitty-gritty. Now, when it comes to discussing any topic, you must ensure that your terms are clearly defined. I refuse to agree that atheism means simply lack of belief. This is the secular war on language known as newspeak. The idea of newspeak comes from the novel 1984 by George Orwell, and it's one of the most unsettling parts of that whole world. At a basic level, newspeak is a controlled language created by the ruling power, the party, to limit what people can think. Not just what they say out loud, but what they're even capable of forming in their minds. And newspeak included redefining words. The word atheism comes from the Greek root. The beginning letter, A, is the negator, known as the alpha privative, meaning without, and theos, meaning God. So atheism literally means without God or no God. This was a positive assertion, a claim that God does not exist. It never meant without belief. The term atheism started appearing in English in the 16th century, originally used more broadly to refer to people who rejected the prevailing idea of God or gods. The shift in the definition of atheism to lack of belief in God, rather than belief that God does not exist, began gaining traction in the mid to late 20th century. That's a 400-year gap, particularly in philosophical and popular atheist circles. This is a more passive stance, not necessarily claiming God doesn't exist, but simply not being convinced that he does. So, why the definition change? Here are several reasons. Point number one, to definitively say that God does not exist, at least in the entire universe, one would have to have universal knowledge, that is, omniscience. But if one is omniscient, then they are, by definition, God. Thus, being the God they say doesn't exist because only God can be omniscient. The The proposition itself is self-refuting. Point number 2. Redefining atheism as lack of belief shifts the burden of proof away from atheists. It allows atheists to say, I'm not making a claim, I just don't believe yours. So they don't have to provide evidence against God's existence. This is the coward's way. Point number 3. Some atheist philosophers and debaters found the lack of belief definition more defensible in discussions. It's easier to withhold belief than to disprove God. See point number 1. As such, with public figures like Richard Dawkins, Sam Harris, Christopher Hitchens, there was a renewed public push to reframe atheism, aka newspeak, in a way that seemed more rational or default. Note, seemed more rational. Well, if atheism is simply lacking belief, then dung beetles are atheists too. Some atheists will push back and say it isn't atheos, but atheism. And a meaning without, and theism meaning belief in God. However, it's not a merger between the alpha privative and the English term theist or theism. Rather, atheist as a whole word is a translation of the Greek word atheos. The alpha privative negates theos, as in no God or godless, as opposed to negating theism, which would be no God belief. So atheism means no God, and agnosticism, from the word gnosis, meaning knowledge, means no knowledge. And if you want to push this even further, the actual Greek term for belief is pistos. The Greek word apistos means unbelieving, faithless, or untrustworthy. It's often used in the New Testament to describe those who do not believe in Christ, who are without faith, the epistoi. So the term atheism is not lacking belief, apistos is. And if you insist on saying that you simply lack belief, then be linguistically consistent and call yourself an apistos. So in conclusion, an atheist is one who posits that no God exists, and the only alternative view to that is materialism, that only matter and energy exists, nothing else. Atheism is materialism. And when I say atheism concludes, I mean the logical and natural consequences of materialism. So, no. Atheism is not lack of belief. If this is how you define yourself, you are not an atheist, you're an apistos, or agnostic if you're more comfortable with that term. I refuse to succumb to the secular war on language and will not tolerate it. Atheism is the claim that there is no God. Period.
Good evening. Tonight, we revisit one of the most disturbing cases in American history, that of Jeffrey Dahmer. Dahmer was convicted of murdering 17 young men and boys between 1978 and 1991. Most of the crimes took place in Milwaukee. Investigators say he lured victims to his apartment using offers of money, alcohol, or companionship. Once inside, they were drugged and left unable to resist. Prosecutors described a pattern of control and dehumanization which included sexual assault, dismemberment and concealment, keeping remains, and cannibalism. This behavior escalated over time, while Dahmer attempted to conceal his crimes within his home. The case came to light when one intended victim escaped and alerted police. Officers were led directly to Dahmer's apartment. Evidence found inside led to his immediate arrest. He was later convicted and sentenced to multiple life terms in prison. In later interviews, Dahmer made statements reflecting on morality and accountability. He asked what restrains human behavior if there is no God. In other news, scientists confirm that humans and chimpanzees share 98 to 99% DNA. In other news, scientists confirm that chimpanzees also commit sexual coercion, kill their own kind, and cannibalize them.
So it seems to me that if we share 98 to 99% DNA with chimpanzees, then that would make us 98 to 99% chimpanzee. Chimp-man-zees, if you will. And if we're 98 to 99% chimpanzee, then why would we be expected to act any differently? Also, here are some other chimpanzee behaviors. They also wash themselves in urine. They eat their own mucus. They also pick and eat parasites. They vomit and re-eat it. And they eat feces. Anyway, food for thought. Now it's time for Evolutionary Marketplace, where we read to you the most interesting listings. First, wanted. 1 transitional fossil. We'll pay any price. Contact a museum of natural science near you. Next, for sale. 1 authentic ape man. Well, almost authentic. The skull is human, but the jaw is that of an orangutan. And its teeth were filed down, and it was chemically dyed to look older. But other than that, it's authentic. 50 cents or best offer. And then finally, wanted. To the institute that I sold my vestigial organs to. I'm going to be needing those back. I recently found out that my body does need them. Please call quickly because I'm feeling a bit weak. And that is your evolutionary marketplace. In case you hadn't heard, Reddit recently had a yard sale. So naturally, I swung by the atheism subreddit space, which was next to the ditch behind the brutalist style building. As expected, they didn't have much of value. I did see some straw men tucked away in the back and said I would take those off their hands, but they said that they were going to keep them. Not unexpected. They did, however, have something that seemed interesting. It was a cage covered with a sheet, and the sign said, "Living Dinosaur." Out of curiosity, I lifted the sheet and couldn't believe my eyes. It was a sad, pathetic creature. Hideous. What was before my eyes was a mostly featherless parrot, likely due to disease and or neglect. I took pity on the parrot and bought it. It cost more than what it was worth, but I hope to be able to nurse it back to health so that it can be the parrot that it was created to be. I'll bring it out in a moment. Please pray for me and my patience, because all it does is repeat what it heard in the atheism subreddit. I named it Echo. This parrot does not seem to be able to think for itself, just regurgitate what it was indoctrinated with in the dark chambers of r/atheism. Okay, folks, prepare yourself. It's a ghastly sight. Without further ado, here is Echo.
The Bible mentions talking snakes. Squawk!
No! 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 No!
No, Echo. The Bible does not mention talking snakes. The first rule of hermeneutics is to actually read the text. Now, if we look at the... What? Why are you looking at me that way? Oh, well, hermeneutics is the study of how we read text and interpret its meaning. We do this with everything that we read, not just the Bible. Does that make sense? All righty. Like I was saying, the first rule of hermeneutics is to actually read the text. Now, let's turn to Genesis chapter 3. We're looking at verses 1 through 5 and then verses 13 through 14. And I'm just going to read the selected scriptures, the statements that mention this creature. From verses 1 through 5, the woman said to the serpent, and then later down, the serpent said to the woman. Then in verses 13 and 14, the woman said, the serpent deceived me, right? And then a little bit later down, the Lord God said to the serpent. And so in these verses, you will see that the text never said that there was a talking snake. It always references a serpent. Now, we don't know exactly what kind of creature this serpent was. The Bible does not clarify. But we do know that it was not a snake. We know this because it wasn't until after the conversation that it was cursed to go on its belly. And there's no indication that it talked after it was turned into a snake or cursed to walk on its belly. Therefore, logically, it was not a talking snake in Genesis. So, atheist skeptics, stop pushing this false narrative that the Bible mentions talking snakes. Now, the atheist skeptics are not the only ones who fall for this. Many Christian organizations will post pictures of Eve talking to a snake, the snake talking to Eve, and this is false. It is not biblical. Yes, there was a talking serpent. We don't know what that creature was, but again, at this point when it was talking, it was not cursed to crawl on its belly. Therefore, it was not at that time a talking snake. And now, let's hear from some of our atheist friends from their social media accounts.
Morality is subjective. The really evil people seem to be the Christians. No such thing as good and evil. Christians are the evil ones. Morality is subjective. That's just evil. All morality is subjective. Religion is a force for evil in this world.
I hate religion. If your religion teaches you to hate, it's a hate group.
I didn't say that the words would be logically consistent, just that there would be words. And on a fun note, the background music is titled Monkeys Spinning Monkeys. Really? Check it out. And now it's time for Atheist Meme Review. So here is this episode's atheist meme that routinely makes the rounds and rears its ugly head from time to time. And for those of you listening on your Philco transistor radio and are unable to see the meme, what we have is a surgical team looking at the viewer as if the viewer is lying down on a gurney. And at the top of the meme says, "Good news. We don't need to operate on you. All your injuries have been healed by your family's prayers." And then on the bottom, it said no doctor ever. So this meme is meant to mock prayer. And obviously, atheists don't believe in prayer. They believe this a priori because they presume that there is no God to answer prayers and to work in such ways to heal people. Now, first of all, there are many, many medical professionals who are Christians, who believe in prayer, who also understand that sometimes miracles happen that they cannot explain. These are documented events. So to say that no doctor ever said this is a fallacy. It is wrong. Next, this meme shows its glorious ignorance in understanding how the various ways that God can bring about his purposes in answering prayer. God is not limited to one method when he heals. He can act directly or through what are called means. Point number 1. God can do a direct miraculous healing. This is when God intervenes immediately without any natural process or any known natural process. Think of the healings done by Jesus Christ, where sickness was removed instantly. No doctor, no medicine, just God acting. Next, God does heal through means. Means simply refers to tools, processes, or instruments God uses to accomplish his will. I'm sure you've heard the phrases, a means to an end, the end justifies the means. This is what this is referring to. Instead of bypassing the natural world, he works through it. Here are some examples. Working through medical professionals, working through medicines and treatments, working through the body's natural healing processes, and even working through lifestyle changes or timing. So those things are not independent of God. They are secondary causes that God ordains and uses. So we Christians can thank God for healing, whether it came instantly or through a skilled surgeon, because both fall under his control. So a simple way to understand this is a miracle is God working without means, or maybe through unknown means. And ordinary healing is God working through means. So when we Christians pray for healing, we are not choosing between God versus medicine. We're asking God to heal by whatever means he chooses, whether that's immediate or through the ordinary systems he already built into the world. And that brings us to the end of this episode's Atheist Meme Review. If you're an atheist, I have a question. Why are you an atheist? Leave your answer in the comments. Now, don't go away, because I've still got a couple more things for you. But as we wrap up this episode, I want to thank you for watching. Hopefully you had some fun along the way, as well as learned a thing or two. Be sure to leave a comment and let me know what you think. Now, if you are an atheist, please know that I do not hate you. In fact, I love you. It is atheism that I hate because it is not the truth and leads to destruction, and I do not want that for you. My motivation in life is to love God, love people, and hate sin. A friend will tell you the truth even if you don't want to hear it, and even if it makes you mad. And right now, I'm likely the best friend you've got. Hopefully, something in this podcast has sparked within you a curiosity and motivation to dive deeper into this subject in a search for the truth. Now, I would be remiss if I did not share the gospel. There is a judgment day coming, and you will be judged for every time you've transgressed God's moral law. This is sin. For every time you've lied, coveted, and stolen. Every time you've used God's name in vain. For every time you've looked with lust and had sex outside of the marriage covenant. But God, who is rich in mercy, became a man in Jesus Christ, who came to this earth to live the perfect, sinless life and die on the cross to pay the fine for guilty sinners. For those who have a change of mind and heart about their sin, who desire to turn from it and then place their faith in the finished work of Christ on the cross and trust in His perfect righteousness alone, instead of trusting in their own failed self-righteousness, God will forgive their sin, past, present, and future, and He will grant them the gift of eternal life. Guilt and shame are removed, and not only is the sin washed away, but the perfect righteousness of Christ is applied to the sinner. The sinner is transformed on the inside to where they begin to hate what God hates and to love what God loves. This happened for me, and I want this blessing for you. This is the glorious gospel, and it's the greatest offer you will ever receive. And finally, if you are an atheist and this podcast has angered you because you think I am spreading lies and misinformation to indoctrinate people, remember that atheism concludes there is no ultimate meaning and purpose to all of this. That in the end, it ultimately makes no difference as to what I or anyone else says or does, because all of history boils down to just atoms bouncing off of each other. That you, I, and everyone else are just specks on this pale blue dot that we call Earth, which itself is a speck among the other trillions and trillions of specks that we call planets, moons, and stars, until the universe eventually dies a heat death, and that will have been that. And even as one of your own poets has said, the universe we observe has precisely the properties we should expect if there is, at bottom, no design, no purpose, no evil, no good, nothing but blind, pitiless indifference.
We're more irrelevant than we imagine. 1% bit of cosmic grind. Take away all we see, it don't matter. The universe don't change a dime. Not a single cell knows who we are. Or cares if we laugh or fall. Just atoms bumping in the darkness. No hand to hear our call. Blind, pitiless indifference. No good, no evil, no plan at all. We're just specks on specks, waiting for the final fall.
my fight. I'm just another speck of sand, orbiting a speck on a speck. The sun, the earth, the galaxies, all lost in a cosmic red. Man is just accidental, no foresight in the game we play. Our hopes and fears, our loves and tears, all dust that fades away. Blind, pitiless indifference, no rhyme, no reason at all. Life's a shadow on the nothing, a hollow echo down the hall. No human free will, no ultimate meaning, no moral anchor to hold. Just blind, pitiless indifference, and the universe stays cold. Philosophy built on despair, no truth, no higher voice. Every step we take in this dark is just matter with no choice. I don't think we're here for anything, just products of evolution spin. Life's bleak if you chase a purpose, better just sit and let it sink in. We're cells that don't know we exist, dust that dreams it's alive. A universe that never notices, just keeps the dark alive. Blind, pitiless indifference, it don't care who we are. Speck on a speck on a speck, lost in a sky with no star, no gods, no life after death, no meaning, no final call, just blind, pitiless indifference, and it don't care at all.